If you're using your TJ Wrangler like Jeep envisioned you might, or even if you've just got a lot of miles on the clock, your axles are likely in need of replacement. And if you're going to replace them, it's worth it to upgrade too. Now this is a full set of heavy-duty replacement front axles for the Dana 30 that came equipped on standard non-Rubicon TJs, and it comes in at a pretty reasonable price too. On anything four-wheel drive, the front axles and their universal joints can take a beating. Those components are doing a lot of work, especially if you're doing some more serious off-roading. If you use your four-wheel drive a lot, or even if you've got a lift kit on there, that can add stress too. And if you're just using your Jeep the way that, well, Jeep intended it to be used, it's gonna put some excess stress on the axles. Those can be a weak point, and like many other things, they can also just wear out with time. Splines can wear out, they can break, the universal joints can develop slack, or any number of things can go wrong with these. You may also just find that you've snapped one of these while you're out working your Jeep hard. And if that happens, you may be in for a really bad time, especially if you've got to go back through a bunch of trails to get home. Now these ones in particular are a little bit different than the axles that came equipped in your Jeep originally. These have thicker forged ends, but they do have the same 27 spline count both inside and outside, and they come equipped with upgraded integrated U-joints. These also come right out of the box exactly as you see them here on the table, so they're ready to go into your Jeep. Now these are great for the off-road or overland enthusiast who wants to keep things a bit more budget friendly and retain that stock Dana 30 up front. So they don't require you to do any other modifications to your Jeep. You can just bolt these in and enjoy some additional strength up front, and it might help you get out of any tricky situations that you might find yourself in. Made from 4340 chromoly with a black oxide coating, these are heat treated multiple times for additional strength, so they are darn strong, and they're quite a bit more durable than your stock axles. Again, they have the same spline count as your originals, and they also come with Spicer 5760X non-greasable universal joints already installed, so they're about as strong as you'll need in any situation. Pricing comes in at about $1,100. For a set of bolt-in uprated axles, that is a pretty darn good price. Again, these are gonna give you a little bit more capability and strength when you're out on the street or trail, and you're just not gonna have to pay an arm and a leg to get it. Installation is gonna get a 3 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 4 hours to complete. These are, again, a totally bolt-in replacement. You don't need to modify anything on the Jeep itself, and it will retain your stock Dana 30 up front. However, there is quite a bit of disassembly to do, and if you've never fiddled with axles before, it might take you a little bit of time. However, this is something you can tackle at home. Just make sure you have the right tools and some patience. We're gonna head out to the shop right now though, and we're gonna walk you through that process step by step, so let's get to it.
For this install, you need a 1/2" impact and 36mm socket, 3/8 ratchet, 13mm 12-point socket, and 13mm wrench, hammer, pry bar, caliper hanging tool, and needle nose pliers. All right, today we're gonna be installing some front axles on our Wrangler, so let's get started. All right, so the first thing we need to do is take our brakes off. So I'm gonna grab my 13mm ratcheting wrench and take our 2 bolts out for our caliper. So we have that out. Pop our caliper off. Grab a hanging tool. Just pop this up. All right, we're gonna grab our hook and just hang this up out of the way. And we go ahead and grab our rotor and pop that off now too. Just simply slides off. All right, so we're gonna come out to our main axle nut. So we're gonna take our cotter pin off first so we can get our cover off. Grab our needle nose pliers and get this out of the way. Pop our cover off. We're gonna grab our impact and 36mm socket and take that nut off. Also a washer under there, just don't forget to take that off when we pop this off. Now on the back side of our hub here, you're gonna see 3 bolts. Now you're gonna see 2 on this side. There's one here, one here. There's one just on the opposite side. We're gonna grab our ratchet and a 12-point 13mm socket. We're gonna get these 3 bolts off. Get the one on the other side here, and then we'll get that last one on the top. All right, now I'm gonna grab a hammer and a pry bar or chisel. We're gonna go ahead and get this hub off. Now it is pretty much seized on there. You also wanna be careful not to damage the wheel bearing when doing this. It also would be a good idea while you're doing this just to replace the whole hub and wheel bearing. But we're gonna get our pry bar in between our bearing here and the dust shield. Let's get this separated. All right, now we'll pull our hub off our axle. Dust shield's gonna come with it. See, I did damage the dust shield just a little bit. That's what happens with an almost 30-year-old Jeep. Set that aside. Go ahead and grab our axle and just pull that out of our differential. Now once you have this side all out, you can go ahead and repeat the same thing on the other side. The only difference is the passenger side axle is just longer. Still the same on install. All right, on our factory axle, we do have to get off our dust cap. So we're gonna grab our pry bar and a mallet, just tap that around. Try not to damage it. This is a very old seal, so just gotta work that down and slide that off our factory axle. All right, so we'll get our new axle and slide our dust cover over. Just work it down. Just like so. We're gonna flip our axle over, and we just have to put on our ring on the outer edge. Just grab our mallet, tap that down. Just work our way around. All right, we're just gonna keep getting this on. I just grabbed a piece of wood just to help keep an even surface when hitting. Easier with a second set of hands. All right, now I did have to get that seated off camera, just needed an extra hand, but that is seated all the way around. We can go ahead and get our axle into our differential. Just gonna set that in, line up our splines, and set that all the way in. Now you see your dust cap may not be set down all the way, you might just need to push it down just to get the proper location. Now we can go ahead and get our dust shield and our hub back on. Broken piece of metal out of here. All right, we're gonna get this hub over our axle. Get our bolt holes lined up. Just get it kind of close, give it a little tap. And we can go ahead and pull that in with our bolts. Go ahead and make sure they line up and thread in. All right, now I have all three of our bolts started in our hub. We're just gonna tighten them down and snug everything up. So we'll grab our ratchet and our 12-point 13mm socket. Once you get it kind of close, you can kind of alternate between the bolts, just kind of walk it in. So we'll get that one a little snug. Don't forget about the one on the other side. And our one up top here. Go back and make sure all the other ones are tight once it's walked all the way in. All right, while we're here, we can put our rotor back on. Our axle nut we can get on with our rotor on, so that's not a big deal. And we'll get our caliper back in place. Just get that all lined up. Go. Get our two bolts put back in. And then we'll grab our 13mm ratcheting wrench and tighten those down. We'll come out to the outside of our axle, get our washer and our axle nut back on, grab our impact and 36mm socket, tighten that down. Don't forget about our cover, and then we just need to throw a cotter pin through. You can either reuse the one that you took out or grab a new one. Grab any of those pliers and bend that back. All right, now you just go repeat those same steps on the other side and you'll be all set. And that wraps up our install of our Mammoth Dana 30 front axles for a 97 to 2006 Jeep Wrangler TJ. And remember, for everything Wrangler, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.